Well, good morning, everybody, and how are you on this Saturday morning? It is the 17th day of December already. What happened in the month of December? It's half gone. 17th day of December, 2022, and a week from tomorrow will be Christmas. Hmm, Christmas Day. Ho, 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 and all that good stuff. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the program. I'm Rick Tallent, your host here on Manna in the Morning, Saturday morning edition. And this morning, I'm going to just finish up my rant for the week. I'm just going to finish up my rant for the week, and hopefully, uh, everybody will uh, get the last dose of what's been on my mind for the last several weeks. And we'll go on with the next topic. How about that? Welcome to the program. We want to continue to pray for all the prayer requests, Debbie, uh, and for Brother Harry's wife, and for Lisa Shipley and her husband Norm, and Brother Chuck, his wife Donna. We have some folks that need some miracles, and I'm believing for them. I hope you enjoyed yesterday morning's program. It was a little bit different. I had to, we were doing some work with our streaming software from the church, and when I came in here to do yesterday morning's program, I realized we had left the streaming software up, and I was not able uh, to take command of it from here. So I had to run to the church. I decided, well, you know what? If I'm going to be over here, might as well show a few things to everybody. And that's what we did. I hope you understand what I was talking about yesterday morning. It's very important that we take advantage of every opportunity that we can to share the Word of God with this lost and dying world. It's very important that we not let opportunities go by. Opportunity sometimes comes in the form of the means to do something. Sometimes it's an idea. Sometimes it's a decision. But sometimes it's the opportunity to do something because you have the what you need to be able to do it. I believe the Lord has put all these things into our hands for a purpose. And that purpose is to not only preach the gospel, so that souls will be saved and lives will be changed, but to also train disciples, train them in the Word of God, train them in how to minister, and train them in how to use the tools of the ministry and take advantage of all the situations and all the opportunities we have. There is such an open door to the church right now to proclaim the gospel that it's uncanny. While many churches are regressing, the opportunities for the church are growing. When in the past could you take a couple $100 worth of equipment, a computer, a webcam, a microphone, and literally broadcast to the entire civilized world? When? When could you reach an audience, a potential audience as large as what we reach, with such a small amount of expense? Now, I know for some it sounds extravagant, but we have fiber coming into the church. It's available, so we took advantage of it because the cable internet that we had was just so undependable. And that fiber cost us $100 a month. So for $100 a month, we have access to the internet at the church. And with all the equipment that I've acquired over the years, we have the capability of doing just about anything that we want to do on the air, teaching, preaching. Audrey said that music is on, and I don't know where that music is coming from. So I guess I will have to turn something up and see. How do you do the work of the ministry? How do you reach out to people? How do you accomplish the things that you have to accomplish? I guess the real answer to that question is, how do you accomplish anything? How do you do anything? How do you get anything done? How do you build a house? Simple question. But the answer is a lot longer than the question. How do you build a house? Well, the first thing you have to do is decide where you're going to build it and acquire the land. And then you've got to go through the design process and the permit process and all these other preliminaries that you have to go through before you dig the foundation and start laying the foundation. For many years, this ministry has been laying foundation. For many years, this ministry has been preparing for what's happening right now. And the last 3.5, almost 4 years, has been spent steadily working toward this goal. You've heard me talk about it in the past, about wanting to get the 24/7 feed from the church up and running. Well, it's coming to pass. But it's coming to pass because we've made decisions to do things. And we've taken the time and the effort and the finances to make it happen. Nothing happens until someone makes a decision to take action. In Luke chapter 2, verse 49. Luke chapter 2, verse 49. A teenage Jesus gives us the answer to the question of ministry. When he says to his mother, "How is it that you sought me? Wish you not that I must be about my Father's business?" We have got to be about the Father's business. There's so many other things we can be doing. We can spend our time in entertainment. We can spend our time partying. We can spend our time acquiring things for us. We can spend our time acquiring wealth, building businesses, doing all these things. We can spend our time with our hobbies. Or we can spend our time being about the most important business that we can ever conduct. And that is being about the Father's business. We were left with this business in our hands. And one of the things that will happen is we will give account to the Father, before the Father, for how we conduct or conducted his business. I believe it's imperative that each one of us individually and collectively make the decision, the conscious decision, to be about the Father's business. And then do something about it. There are churches sitting out there that have a dozen or 24 retired people who don't have to get up and go to work every morning. They don't have to get up and go to work. They don't have to punch a time clock. They don't have to commute to work and do what they've done for many years. But yet they sit there like they have nothing to do, while the church struggles to reach out beyond its four walls and accomplish the goals that the Lord has set before that congregation. I don't believe in retirement. I believe in refirement. We don't need to be retiring. We need to be refiring. We need to be getting charged up again, because now we have the time. Without the commitments to work, we have the time. We may be older. We may not be able to move as fast. We may not be able to do some of the things we did as a younger person. But there's other things we know how to do even better because of experience. Taking the time to be about the Father's business is a commitment that each one of us has to make. Is this life that we live worth spending, worth expending on seeing souls saved and lives changed? Is this life that we have worth expending on seeing the church move forward instead of sitting still or going backwards? In this day and time, the people who do surveys and ask questions will tell you that the church is at its lowest ebb. That over half of the Generation X thinks that church is a waste of time. So they're raising their children to be heathens, to not know what we grew up knowing. The joy, the experiences of the social world of the local church. The joys and the experiences of the spiritual world of the local church. And yet they'll wonder why their children have no direction, or why the direction that they have is away from God. I believe we as Christians have failed miserably in this one statement in Luke 2, verse 49. And that's being about the Father's business. We have relegated all the Father's business over to the pastor. Well, that's his job. That's what he's hired for. No, it's not. The coach doesn't play the football game. The coach teaches the players. The coach exercises the players. The coach prepares the players for the game. And then when he sends them in, he continues to give them instruction on how to go about winning the game. The general doesn't go out and shoot the enemy. The general has soldiers under him with specific orders to train soldiers to go out and fight the war. Yet the general continues to lead them and to tell them how to go about doing it. We've stopped training people in the church. Most churches are nothing more than a pep rally. Once a week. So many don't even have Sunday night services that it's the rarity to see a crowd out of church on a Sunday night. And Wednesday night's a joke. One prominent church here in town proclaims Wednesday nights their fun and games night. When everybody comes together to play volleyball. And we wonder why the world's going to hell in a handbasket. We wonder why children grow up to be young adults who vote for heathen people, who stand for every social ill that there is and proclaim it to be right. Every social evil that there is, they proclaim to be, well, that's okay. It's everyone having their own opinion. Everyone can do their own thing. That's what got the world in such a mess thousands of years ago when the Lord had to bring judgment on Israel. He had to bring judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah and others. Everybody do your own thing. It's okay. Just let everybody do their. No, the church has to stand firm on what is the Word of God. And if we don't teach people why right is right and wrong is wrong, then we have failed as a church. If we don't teach people to do the work of the ministry, then we have failed as a church. If we don't teach them the reasons why the church is so important, we have failed as the church. It's not about gathering together a couple of times a week and having a good time. This is serious. This is eternity we're talking about. An entire generations are destined for hell because the church has not been about the Father's business. They've been about the business of being socially prominent, politically correct, and spiritually dead. That's why the divorce rate inside the church is as high as what it is outside the church. That's why drug and alcohol abuse are just as bad inside the church as what they are outside the church. That's why we have so many counseling centers and rehab centers, is because the church isn't doing the work of the ministry. It's not about the Father's business. Because we found everything else to do. Well, I'm retired now. This is a time when I get to go fishing and hunting and do what I want to do. Okay? Do what you want to do while people go to hell all around you. What kind of a testimony is that? Well, going fishing was more important than seeing somebody not go to hell. Having a $50,000 bass boat's more important than having $1,000 worth of equipment at the church so that we can reach souls around the world. I guess it's just a matter of priorities, isn't it? Jesus, as a teenager, had a priority. And that was to do what the Father had sent him here to do. What has God sent you to do? Are you going to be about the Father's business, or are you going to be about your own business? What's going to leave a lasting legacy? I guess this is something that's just a burr under my saddle, to use a Texas term. But what's important to you? What's important to you? We wonder why a lot of our seniors are in such bad health. And maybe it's because they're sitting on their blessed assurance becoming couch potatoes, instead of getting out and doing something. Young people will not be enthusiastic about evangelism and discipleship as long as everybody else is not enthusiastic about it. I'm throwing this back on my generation. You want to see Generation X, a revival in Generation X? We better see a revival in the baby boomers. We better see the power of God moving among the baby boomers, giving an example to Generation X and Generation Y and Generation Z and whatever generation it is next. Instead of making church a entertainment complex, it needs to be the house of miracles. I'm doing all I can with what the Lord is putting in our hands. And I've even been told over the last few days I'm doing too much. I can't do enough. And just like your pastor, I'm only one person. I only have 24 hours in the day. I only have so much energy, so much stamina. But there's others out there that are sitting there wondering and saying, well, I don't have anything to do. There's nothing for me to do in the church. You're a liar. You haven't looked to see what God has for you. Maybe the time has come for us to have preachers like me who have the boldness to speak up and say, get off your blessed assurance and be about the Father's business. There's too much that needs to be done to see souls saved and lives changed for us to sit around and spend our time like the old men down at what used to be called the spit and whittle corner, or sit around the pot-belly stove at the general store like a Norman Rockwell painting and talk about back in the good old days. Wasting time that the Lord has given us while people die and go to hell. I'm finished with this subject this morning. Because if there's nothing in your life that makes you want to be about the Father's business, there's nothing I can say that will change your mind. I can only say what the great Joshua said. As for me and my house, how about you? What's going to happen at your place? Maybe you can't put in an 8-hour day. Maybe you can put in a 2-hour day or a 4-hour day. But the Lord needs workers. A great gospel song from many years ago that's even more true today than it's ever been. My house is full, but my field is empty. Who will go and work for me today? It seems the children all want to stay around the table, but no one wants to go work in the fields. We all want the blessings that come from the garden producing life. But how many are willing to get out there and work that garden to make it productive? As for me and my house, we're going to be about the Father's business. As for me and this ministry, we'll be about the Father's business. It's up to you what you do. Until next time, this is Rick Tallent saying go with God. Because he has already gone before you and prepared the way. Even if you don't walk down it. He is your rear guard. He will always be right there by your side. And let me add this. Don't go camping out in Sinai for 40 years when the Lord has a promised land ready for you to possess.